Every day you receive a gift of 86,400 seconds to use as you wish. You will use this time to think, feel and act. These moments can become tedious nightmares which have to be survived and which are better forgotten, or they can become the happiest exhilaration of your life. In this video, you'll find examples of specific behaviors which steal your energy, wreck your state of mind and even dump you down. So let's get to work. I'm Dr. Matt and this is my channel. The first behavior to be eliminated: watching too much television. We spend approximately 13 years of our lives watching television. Dr. Dimitri Christakis from the University of Washington highlights increased problems with concentration at 7 years of age when a child watches television before the age of 3. A poll conducted by Today.com showed that 72% of women and 60% of men watch reality TV shows out of sheer boredom. There is no doubt that television provides educational and entertainment value. But we spend the majority of our time watching TV because we want to fill the voids left by a lack of creative ideas for our lives. It's much more productive to schedule worthwhile shows we want to watch before we sit down on the couch. Number 2 behavior: compulsive thinking. That's interesting. Depending on the source, it is estimated that we spend somewhere between 70 and 90% of our daily activity thinking about the past, that which was, or planning for the future, that which will be. In other words, thinking. As the results of this, we lose being, the experience of that which is. The emphasis on intellectual understanding of the world leads to a lack of presence and to spending the majority of our lives in our thoughts. Meanwhile, only here and now offers the possibility of living, being happy, celebrating, being grateful, loving, and being spontaneous. We can become more present by putting away our phones, going outside for a walk, or going on a trip once every 3 months and spending one day alone in total isolation so that we can get more in touch with ourselves. Number 3, sweets. American scientists warn consuming high quantities of sugar weakens the functioning of the brain and causes problems with memory and orientation. Earlier scientific research has proven that fructose increases the risk of diabetes, obesity, and liver disease. If we reach for sweets in order to escape negative emotions, we will also face feelings of guilt and remorse, which, combined with weight gain, will lead to negative state of mind. Sweets give us a temporary high, stimulating the mind to release serotonin, but this high level of serotonin quickly falls back down and leaves us with a feeling of lack. That's when we unfortunately reach for yet another candy bar. The average American consumes 56 kilograms of sugar per year. Number 4, browsing our Facebook friends walls. Do you often check what your friends are up to on Facebook? Are you looking just to see what's up dozens of times per day? The superficial feeling of closeness is a false substitute for real relationships, and the feeling of emptiness it leaves behind isn't among the most pleasant. Many studies point out the negative emotional side effects of using social media, such as feelings of loneliness or the belief that we're wasting our lives. Number 5, pessimism. We all know that, right? The extent to which fear is a physiological reaction that warns us of danger is the extent to which anxiety is a mental interpretation of occurring phenomena. In today's reality, the chances of sudden death is almost non-existent, and the vast majority of the dangers that faced our ancestors, who lived on average about 30 years as early as a century ago in poor countries, these fears have disappeared today. What does this mean? People are afraid of imaginary things and tell themselves stories which will never happen. Number 6 behavior to be eliminated: gossiping. The illusory label of friendly conversation often hides the psychological mechanism of identification, living vicariously through others as if their lives were our own. If you find yourself spending more time thinking or talking about someone other than yourself, consider it a warning signal. Creating a life in which you're happy just being yourself, abandoning trashy thinking about the color of a celebrity's panties or the divorce case of some actor, leaves us more time to be productive and gives us emotional relief. Research shows that people who gossip the most experience higher levels of stress and are perceived as less trustworthy. Number 7, always being right. How many times have you argued with someone just to prove that you're right, even though you knew that you weren't but needed to defend your ego? How much time have you lost trying to convince someone of something which you didn't really, neither did they, care about? How many times have you been frustrated by someone who didn't think you were right? If you're tired with this unproductive conversation, stop talking just to be right and start talking with the goal of learning how you are understood and interpreted. This approach lacks the conflicting mechanisms of win-lose and is instead full of curiosity and respect of listening to a person who can freely express his or her authenticity. Number 8, reading about yourself on the internet. In his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey defines the concept of proactivity as conscious action leading to the achievement of a specific goal. Unlike reactive people who act upon stimuli after they have occurred, proactive people are responsible for creating their own reality and they have a different approach to solving problems. They focus on expanding their sphere of influence or influence upon situations which depend directly on them, example, the workplace. On the other hand, reactive people want to influence their sphere of interest or all the things which they have no control over. Example, a plane crash. Reading about yourself on the internet belongs to the sphere of interest over which you have no control, but you can control what you write on the internet. It's therefore worthwhile to create valuable content. Hope this is valuable for you. Number 9, checking how many likes you got. Did you publish something on social media and now you're checking how many likes you got? This virtual form of gratification makes your self-esteem dependent on the opinions of others. This in turn creates frustration when you don't get the expected recognition. Writing worthwhile content for your readers based on your own opinion is much healthier and allows you to save time which was previously devoted to reading your friends' comments. Number 10. Constantly checking your phone. British statistics indicates that people check their phones 110 times per day and during peak hours between 5 and 8 p.m. every few seconds. Record holders check their phones up to, attention, 900 times per day. This is crazy. The extent to which smartphones are a necessity these days, and we probably can't do without checking our email, is the extent to which obsessively evading reality in the best case leads to stress and in the long term addicts us to being busy. If you're not a sales representative or a trader and use phone as your work tool, it's enough to check your emails with much less frequency. Number 11, procrastination. Putting things off for later rarely actually means that we should be doing something at a later time. Most often, procrastination is a way to evade having to make a decision, a reluctance to confront a difficult situation, a fear of failure, or having perfectionist standards which can't be fulfilled. Trying to squirm your way out of something which should be done is a time waster. Drains your energy and gives nothing in return. Trying not to do something is more tiring than confronting your responsibilities and just getting it over with. Number 12. Writing lists for everything. Are you going shopping with a grocery list in your phone but then you forget to check it? Are you making a list of words from a foreign language that you're trying to learn, but you never go back to your notes? Do you have a list of things that you want to do in a given day, but never use it because you're always focused on upcoming tasks? Planning for the future is an important life skill, unless it becomes an obsessive means of self-control which stems from an internal lack of trust. You're likely to remember everything you planned to do in most situations. Number 13, having enemies. Nothing wastes your time more than having enemies. You have to constantly think about them in order to prepare an unnecessary defense for an attack which will never actually happen. Fear caused by thinking about upcoming danger and possible loss is emotionally draining. Concentrating on yourself and your close ones, reacting to facts instead of imagining them, living without the need to prove your superiority, or simply accepting that sometimes you're at the top and other times you're at the bottom will give you relief and help you live in a psychologically healthy environment. Number 14, explaining yourself. My dog ate my homework. I overslept because it was a rainy day. I'm not mindlessly browsing the internet at night, I'm just working hard. We all know these excuses, the creative reasons for why we don't do something instead of finding solutions and doing what we're supposed to. Every reason is good, and since nobody can convince us as well as we convince ourselves, we'll always find a good reason for why we didn't do something. But this won't change the situation. By focusing on solutions, you'll be better able to control events. And by looking for ways to get something done, instead of reasons for why it wasn't done, you'll produce actual results. 15. Leaving the house when you don't really want to. Now that's interesting. We've all gone out for walks which we didn't have the desire to go on, to the theater when we would have preferred the movies, to a party when we were tired, or a restaurant when we would have preferred to eat at home. The effect of this are couples walking through parks, staring into their smartphones, audience members falling asleep in the theater, partygoers standing idly in the corner, and clients complaining about bad food. Doing something against your own will is self-sabotage and causes internal and later, obviously, external conflicts. What will help you here is making honest decisions and communicating them assertively. Interesting, right? If this is the case, I can ask you to like this material if you find it useful, share it with others if you know someone who could benefit from it, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment and visit my blog to get more information on mixed mental arts. Thank you very much and see you next time.